And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for January 5th, 2026. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to be back. The 2 weeks of vacation was glorious. I did a lot of nothing, although I did go up to my sister's cabin for the first week up in Northern California near Redding. I just put the overtime video up, and the overtime video is actually, has a story about me in Redding. Redding is a very, very great place to look at, but Redding is not doing great in the, in the economy. And so Redding has seen better days, but there's a story of something that I did when I was getting gas at 4 a.m. that morning. So I was, it was a 12-hour drive all the way back from Redding into San Diego, if you include the LA traffic and all that stuff. It took my dog Lucky up with me, which, by the way, I got really, really lucky, no pun intended, that I have a dog that is just okay in the car. Doesn't get sick, just kind of sits there, walks around, sticks his head out the window every once in a while, but for the most part, he just lays in his bed that I set up for him, and he just does his thing. And so I'm very lucky, again, no pun intended, that I have a good dog that will just sit there for 12 hours. But hey, I had some good luck on my side. And I will say that the good luck that was on my side has to do with coming home from Northern California on the Saturday before New Year's, so the Saturday after Christmas. There was a massive traffic jam in the Grapevine. And some people had to stay overnight. Some people had to stay there for hours and hours and hours. It reminded me of the great traffic jam of San Diego that happened like a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago. But I was so lucky. Again, I'm using that word, not having anything to do with my dog Lucky. I was so lucky because I drove through the Grapevine about an hour before this gas leak hit and shut down both sides of the freeway, made people have to stay in their cars. People were throwing footballs, I saw outside. They were there for hours. They couldn't go anywhere. And so that was one of those things where I'm always like, why is the bad thing always happening to me? Why? Well, that was a good thing, and I recognized it was a good thing because, man, I don't know what I would have done if I was stuck in that sort of traffic for 4, 5, 6, maybe overnight. It's ridiculous. We've had a lot of crazy traffic things happen here recently, but I got real lucky with everything. So we'll talk about the vacation a little bit. Got to spend a lot of time with my nieces and my nephew. And what I've always had nieces, and so I haven't had a nephew yet. I have 3 nieces and one nephew, and I gotta say, nephew is pretty cool. I didn't know because I'm used to the nieces. I didn't know what a nephew was going to be all about, but hey, he's pretty cool. And it's always nice when a baby wants to hang out with you instead of crying every time you go near it. I got lucky with my nephews and my nieces. But other than that, we'll talk about it a little bit later. We're going to talk about people I need to apologize to. I have 2 specific people that I need to apologize to for something that I said in 2025 about sports teams. And then at the end of the show, we have our daily gripe. And we have this story about FIFA and the World Cup happening this year all over the United States and North America. Mexico and Canada are involved as well. But I'm over FIFA. And I know people are with me. I just don't understand FIFA and all of the demands that they make. And I don't understand FIFA. I don't understand why everything needs to be about money. Everything has to. And I know it's always been that way, but maybe I'm just getting older and I'm seeing it more and so I'm recognizing it, or maybe people were better at being quiet about, you know, their capitalist dreams, which there's nothing wrong with making money. There is nothing wrong. I want to make money. I do think there is a certain point though where it becomes ridiculous how what you want to do. Like, we'll get into the story, but stadiums are going to have to spend millions of dollars. Stadiums are going to have to spend millions of dollars to get it ready for FIFA. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. And we have a new name for our studio. So you will be hearing us go forward saying that we are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. When I found out about this, I was very excited because I love the Bill House commercials. When everybody knows the jingle. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. We know how. All right, I'll never do that again. But I love it. I love it. It's amazing. So I'm glad that we're broadcasting live from the Bill Howe Studios. I would also like to thank the Padres real quick before we go further, because the Padres, they dropped their news right before we went on vacation. So it was like right the last couple days before we went on vacation, the Padres locked up Michael King, and then they officially signed Mr. Song, who's from Korea. I will get his name, I promise. But I have to thank them because nothing other than some small signings here and there, some minor league deals, Padres haven't really done much of anything. Now, baseball itself hasn't really done much of anything. So there have been some signings. I know some of the Japanese players. Tatsuya Imai is with the Astros. There was another big name pitcher from Japan that ended up going to the Blue Jays, and I know the Padres were in on. But what we're going to be talking about with the Padres here going forward into spring training, which is just over 30 days away, we are going to be talking about where are they going to get their starting pitching from? Because for the most part, they don't have as many holes as they did last year heading into spring training. We didn't know who was going to play left field. There were lots of questions about the lineup for the Padres last year. Who's going to be where? We have some of those answers. Ramon Laureano is going to be with the team. Gavin Sheets going to be back with the team. And so there's less questions about what's going on in the field. Do they need to add a bigger bat? I do think they do. At some point, they have to add a bat because Ryan O'Hearn now with the Pirates, and you don't have that big bat, an everyday big bat. Gavin Sheets, I don't think, is to a point where he is going to be an everyday player yet. He could turn into an everyday player. Who knows if he even works, at first base or something like that. Try to get his bat in the lineup more, but not have to sacrifice defense. Now his defense in left field, Gavin Sheets, it wasn't terrible. I give the guy a lot of credit for being able to play a position he's never played at the major league level in a park like Petco Park. Now he almost, lost his life running in the wall in left field, but for the most part, he did a pretty good job out there. And so you can play him in left field, but that's pretty much going to be covered by Ramon Laureano, I would think. You have Fernando in right field. You have Jackson Merrill in center field. But then you don't have a first baseman. You don't have a first baseman. Outside of pitching, first base is where you need to go. And that's why I said on the show, the Gwynn and Chris show, I think that Luis Ariz is going to be back with this team. I don't see any rumors out there of teams that are kicking the tires on Luis Ariz. Now, it doesn't mean there's no rumors or no check-ins, but I kind of feel bad for Luis because he is a really good player, but his skill set in this time frame is not the valuable skill set. So if they do bring Luis Ariz back, I mean, you could put him at second base. I think he did a good enough job at first base that you could have him play first base again. Now, are there certain times where a traditional build for a first baseman, meaning height, is that going to hurt the Padres? Yeah, because there were a few times last year that Luis Ariz couldn't, you know, corral one of the throws to first base because he was either, couldn't jump high enough or he couldn't reach far enough, things like that. I'm willing to give Luis Ariz another go at first base this year if you can't find someone else who is going to be an everyday first baseman. I'm willing to give him a go. But again, I don't want to see what we saw last year. And I feel like it was some stubbornness from the Padres in where they put him in the lineup. Certain points in the year, you didn't have anybody else that you could put higher in the lineup. So you had to. But there were also certain points during the year where I thought Luis Ariz needs to move down. I think he would be better served moving down. And I said this multiple times last year. Like, there's nothing wrong with moving down in the lineup. That is not an indictment on how you are as a baseball player. So if you put him down at the 6th, 7th spot, I'll even go 9 or 8. I like having a contact guy at the end of the lineup. I like having a guy like Luis Ariz because he's not an automatic out. As we said earlier, he had the most hits in the National League. He hit 292 last year, and he walked a little bit more. Or I can't say that for sure, so let's strike that from the record because I would have to go back and look at the stats. I haven't looked at the stats in a few weeks, but Luis Ariz, I think, could be a good option for the Padres. I don't think that's going to be something that's popular among fans. I mean, it has nothing to do with Luis as the person, but he just, at the time he needed to perform last year, I don't think it happened when he needed it to. And the year before, it did. Year before, he's hitting over 300. I mean, it's one of those things that I think Luis Ariz is going to have to, unfortunately, he's going to have to prove again. Seems like every single year he has to prove to baseball that he is worth the money that he is being paid. And MLB trade rumors projected that he would get 2 years, $24 million contract. Last year he was making $14 million. So I think a $12 million deal is fine. I would say do that. He's a good clubhouse guy. I know people love when we talk about clubhouse guys, but I just have this weird feeling that he's going to be back with the Padres. And if he doesn't, then I hope he gets a good deal somewhere. Lou says, even Tony's dad being the premier hitter couldn't garner a better paycheck because it hits when his value even back or weren't as valued. Chicks and owners dig the long ball. I agree. But I still think that Luis Ariz is a guy that can help you win lots of games. And he has over the last 2 years. So Luis Ariz, I'm gonna expect to hear more about him in the next, few weeks because we got spring training coming up. I would like to see Luis Ariz, in camp or at least somewhere before spring training begins. All right, this is the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby, back from our 2-week vacation. Very happy to be back. Thank you to everybody who's joining us on the chat. I appreciate you. Trevor said about Luis Ariz, he's a good 7-hitter and fits the clubhouse. Give him 24/2 with an opt-out. I'm fine with that. That's good. That's good, Trevor. I like the opt-out. The opt-out is always a good way of trying to get a player to buy in. So, because then they can opt out if they have a great season. Anyway, the Skraby Show. You can watch the show on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, and then you can go to my YouTube at The Skraby Show, SKRAB as in boy, Y. You can go to 97.3 The Fan on Twitter. That's 97.3 The Fan SD. You could also go to, we're on Twitch, 97.3 The Fan. So when we get back here on the show, I'm going to apologize to 2 specific individuals. One of them is actually a collective group, but I will apologize to one individual and a collective group that I trashed pretty hard in 2025. So We'll talk about that when we get back here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
City Cruises Live delivers exclusive concerts, elevated culinary experiences, and stunning views from the water. There is no other event like it. Get your tickets today at citycruises.com/live. We do events differently.
Seriously, my dealership just fixed the transmission.
We all know how it can be. Go to the wrong place for transmission repair. Made up of over 800 pieces, the transmission is the most complex part of your car. So bring it to the transmission experts at AMCO. AMCO, always the right fix. AA MCO. Special financing.
Back here broadcasting from the Bill House Studios, we know how. Matt Skraby, 97.3 The Fan. Back to the Skraby Show routine. I do have in 1 second, I have an update on the schedule of the Skraby Show. So give me a second to do all this. If you don't know, I do all of this by myself, run the board, all that good stuff. But I'll tell you schedule in just a second because all guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Lots of coaches being fired in the NFL today. So far, the ones I've seen are the Browns fired Kevin Stefanski, Pete Carroll fired by the Raiders, Raheem Morris by the Bucks, and Jonathan Gannon fired by the Cardinals. Which the Jonathan Gannon one, I think, was kind of written. It was the writing was on the wall a little bit because Jonathan Gannon got in trouble earlier in the year when I think it was DeMarcado maybe, dropped the ball before he scored a touchdown, so they didn't score, and then it was caught on camera. Jonathan Gannon bumping him and scolding him. So anyway, I don't know how many players were still following Jonathan Gannon into the final weeks of the season. But anyway, those are the four that were fired today. Raheem Morris was actually let go last night. So we'll see who's going to be filling those roles. Maybe Phillip Rivers. Maybe Phillip Rivers has one role that he could fill because he wants to be a head coach, apparently. That's what he said. He said he thinks he can coach at the head coach level at the NFL, which I do think he can. You know, I think some of these guys who play 16 years of football and do pretty well at it, they've been around it all. They know, and he's a good motivator. He's a good communicator, good dude, things like that. So I think that Phillip Rivers would be an okay head coach to at least interview. All right, people I need to apologize to, because I gave both of these teams a very hard time before the year. And I'm going to start with Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. I gave him a lot of heat gave him a lot of heat, I'll just say. I was not a fan of how he did things when he got the job with the Jaguars. He was only going to get the job. It irked me that he was only going to take the job unless the GM was fired. Obviously, that was a really great idea. So, Liam Cohen, head coach of the Jaguars, you won the division. You got the best out of Trevor Lawrence that anybody ever has. You beat my team. You look like a team that can go places in the playoffs. The defense is nasty. Trevor Lawrence is pretty good right now. The offense is rolling. So I have to apologize to Liam Cohen because I didn't give him any chance of being a good coach. And this year, he was a good coach. Jack says, Duval. Jack is the resident Jaguars fan that kept telling me, oh, this is going to be a good hire. This is going to be a good hire. And I kept saying, no, it's not going to be a good hire. Maybe he should be concerned about coaching instead of who's the GM. But what do I know? Nothing, apparently. The other group I need to apologize to. I'm not going to apologize to any one individual here. But the other group that I need to apologize to, Patriots fans. I have been saying they were fake all year. They were saying, I've been saying that Mike Vrabel's a bad coach. I've been saying all the things throughout the year. But I do need to apologize to the fans because I have been wrongfully raining on your parade. Because a 14-3 season is incredible. No matter what kind of schedule you play. And yes, they did play a very terrible schedule. But it's still the NFL. They still have to put together a game plan and execute every week, and they did that. And so I do think that it's going to be tough roads for them in the playoffs because I don't know that they've been tested as much as fans think they have. But Drake May is for real. So you're not going to lose many games when you have a guy playing quarterback like Drake May. And this is the other thing that bothers me about the Patriots. Why do the Patriots get another generational quarterback? It seems. Why do the Patriots, like, why do some teams never have a quarterback? The Browns come to mind. They never have a good quarterback. There are plenty of other teams out there that never have a good quarterback, and the Patriots get another one. That is annoying to me. That is annoying. They already got Tom Brady. They got the greatest quarterback of all time. Why do they need another one? Wow, excuse me. You sneezed if you're still on screen. I'm sorry. Man, I am all over the place. I got over the break. My throat got really weird and started hurting a lot. So I think that would be a sore throat. And I thought I was over it, but all of a sudden now I'm here by myself. I'm having a really hard time. I'm having a really hard time talking right now, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Patriots fans, I apologize to you. C20 says, this coming from a Niner fan. I wonder what he's talking about, but I'm thinking it's about the schedule, the strength of schedule, because the Niners played a last place schedule because they finished in last place. But the Patriots played a last place schedule because they were a last place team and they benefited from it. So I don't mind at all. I don't mind. I'm someone who will apologize when I need to. And I'm someone who will stick my foot into the ground if I need to. And with the Patriots and the Liam Cohen, I have to apologize. I have to. All right. I'm going to go to break a little bit early so that I can get my voice together and figure some things out. But on the other side, here on the Skraby Show, I'm over FIFA. And I'm going to tell you why and what they're doing at the World Cup coming up here in 2026. That's all next on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and
All right, one of the things that I did over the 2 weeks we were off was watch a whole bunch of movies and TV shows and things like that. And so I got each time we do these end of the year vacations, I seem to, even unintentionally, I seem to pick a theme that I'm going to follow throughout the 2 weeks that I'm off. And so this time, it just so happened the theme was medieval history, medieval movies, things like that. I don't know why. I just got very interested in it and I started reading up all about it, started watching movies about it. But there's a movie and everybody knows what it is, but I never saw it. And it was with why am I forgetting his name all of a sudden? It's not Gerard Butler, Russell Crowe. It's Russell Crowe, and it's Robin Hood. It's like a serious Robin Hood. It's not like a Robin Hood Men in Tights type of thing. It's like a serious Robin Hood movie. So I actually really liked Robin Hood. I know that people didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty good. I did. Now, the other movie that I watched about the medieval times that I thought was great, actually, and I believe this is kind of crazy. This might be the first time I've ever seen Timothée Chalamet in a movie, and he was great. And it was called The King, and he is the heir to the throne, the King of England, and so he ends up having to take over the throne, and then he has to make decisions about going to war and things like that. And so I thought The King was a very good movie as well. So if you haven't seen those movies, you can watch them. They're entertaining, at least, for sure. But there was one movie that I've seen more promos for this movie than I've seen of any movie in years. And I have to say that, can Greenland 2 be a sequel if no one knows the first one even existed? I had no idea that there was a Greenland 1. Now we got a Greenland 2, and it's being promoted so heavy everywhere that it's got to be a terrible movie, right? It's got to be a terrible movie. When movies promote themselves like this, it tells me that they're trying to make up for something. So I'll probably watch the movie one day, but I don't know. Greenland 2 is just not something I think that we should be acting like is the greatest sequel of all time. I don't know. Joseph says, nothing is as terrible as the Ice Cube War of the Worlds. I have heard that one is pretty terrible. I've heard that one pretty terrible. One of the other shows I watched was Stranger Things. Been a fan of that show since the beginning. Took forever for it to finish up. I'm not going to give anything away, but I think that they did put a lot of effort in the show. I just started losing where the storyline was going because there was a lot of stuff that happened that I just didn't understand why it was happening. Maybe I'm not like the smartest guy in the world, but yeah, I just didn't understand some of the Stranger Things parts. But I did love the show, and I have to say, at the end of the show, I did well up a tear or something because I felt it. I felt the emotion from Stranger Things. So if you're a Stranger Things fan, let me know and we can chat about it someday. Uh-oh, something just happened on my computer. Oh, my battery's running low. I was on Twitter. I just posted the overtime video for what we talked about, our breaks and everything. So if you go to Gwen and Chris SD on YouTube, you can find it there. And it's the first video up, and Chris overtime, up in arms. But we argue about the new eating in the studio email that was sent out today or over the weekend. And Chris and Tony weren't happy with the email. And I don't understand why they weren't happy with it, because it's pretty simple to me. The new schedule for the Skraby Show going forward up until the season, and then that, the baseball season takes over, and I do Skraby shows when I can. But the new schedule for Skraby Shows is going to be Monday through Thursday up until the season. I'm not going to be doing shows on Friday, and here's why. Because last year, I did basically like 2 or 3 months of 5-hour, 5 days a week shows, and it ate me alive. And so I'm learning from my mistakes, knowing that maybe if I take off one day here or there, or one day a week, that it would help me. Because by the time we got to the season, I was beat. And that's not the time that you need to be beat. You have to actually be ready to go for the season. So Monday through Thursday, we have Skraby Shows. The only other day that we will not be having one in the near future would be next Monday, because Monday Night Football playoff game. Texans and Steelers. So we're going to be having a short show that day, but past that is Monday through Thursday. Joseph says work-life balance. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for understanding. Thank you. I know my job's not that hard. I just talk for a living, but my brain gets a little crazy there every once in a while when I do a lot of talking. All right, let's keep talking, because I'm over FIFA and the World Cup is coming here. And so here's the thing that all stadiums are going to have to do to align with FIFA. Number one, they're going to have to put grass in. And so, again, I don't know if they're able to put grass into these stadiums that the NFL plays on this turf, like the Giants MetLife Stadium, where everybody tears up their knees. If they could put grass for FIFA, they could put grass for football. Football players want to play on real grass. They do not want to play on this other turf stuff. They do not like it. So they're going to bring in grass for Dallas. They're going to bring in grass for MetLife Stadium. They're going to bring in grass everywhere that they need to bring in grass, which I think is crazy. Crazy as in, like, the teams refuse to even think about putting in grass for their own NFL players, but they will for the World Cup. That's besides the point. FIFA does not like that these stadiums have sponsor brand names on them. So the example is that I'm going to use is there's going to be World Cup games at the Falcons Stadium in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So FIFA is going to make everyone call whatever stadium they're playing in by the city name. So in Atlanta, it will be called the Atlanta Stadium. And the reason for that is because FIFA does not want to upset their sponsors. When they say FIFA is brought to you by Kia, and we're back here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. They don't want that. This is not a new opinion, but I have not been a fan of FIFA for a really long time, and it really doesn't matter what I think about FIFA. But I can't say that I am surprised one of the most corrupt and controversial organizations in sports is actually making this happen. So every single, the thing with FIFA, what they don't want to do, in which they want to take away these stadium names, is because they don't want to have to give a discount on sponsorships, what they're paying already. So the contracts, stadium owners have actually promised to turn their venues over to FIFA free and clear of any and all advertising, marketing, promotion, merchandising, and brand identification. This includes branding on any stands, scoreboards, seats, seat backs, time clocks, staff uniforms, accreditation passes, fences, or elsewhere inside, surrounding, or in the airspace above the stadium. Meaning, if there is like a chair with a Falcons logo on it, then they're going to get in trouble for it. So the stadium has to remove every single instance of some other business that uses that stadium. And apparently everybody's bored with this, but I don't understand it. The name of the stadium to me is the name of the stadium. And this is only being done because it's all about money. And I don't know how this World Cup is going to go. It seems like it's going to be a little crazy, and FIFA's not doing anything new. But FIFA's not, in my mind, FIFA does not hold enough power over everything to demand all of these things, because FIFA's still making money on the stadiums. It's just, if we talked about on the show earlier, what's going to push me far enough away from sports that I don't want to pay attention anymore? It's going to take a while. Obviously, I do sports, so I talk about sports for a living. And I love sports, but I just hate the business of sports right now. I just hate it. I feel maybe this was just my nostalgia or me being little and not understanding how the real world works. But I felt like teams wanted to win and teams wanted to take care of their fans, and now it's complete opposite. Teams do not care about the fans. Teams want to win, but they'd rather make money. That's why Dick Monfort doesn't put money into his team, because his team sells out and has people showing up, 40,000 people showing up in August when the team hasn't won 40 games. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. So that's what's going to happen with FIFA. Like, the names of the stadium, I actually went to FIFA.com and got more information on this. And they are going to be just calling them, like in Canada, where it's the Toronto Stadium, or I'm scrolling through all the stadiums that are not in the United States, like where the Patriots play, Boston Stadium, Dallas Stadium, Houston Stadium, Kansas City Stadium, Los Angeles Stadium, Miami Stadium, New York, New Jersey Stadium, Philadelphia Stadium. So anyway, you get the point. You get the point, because it's I wonder if people are going to get tired of me complaining about the money that people are trying to, the sports organizations are trying to squeeze out of us all the time. FIFA is just one of those things. I'm sure the Olympics are too. I'm sure they are. But what does FIFA care if there's a Falcon logo? So that's who uses the building. I understand it's multi-purpose. And I understand you don't want to have a big logo in the middle of the field, but if you have like on an area in the concourse walking around to eat food, if you have a Falcon logo, what is that going to hurt? What is that going to hurt? Joseph asks, is FIFA more controversial than the Olympics? Oof. This is a loaded question because I would need to do more research, but just off the top of my head, I'm sure both are evil, but I feel like FIFA is a little bit more evil because of some of the things they've been accused of in the past, and bribery and all of that. Like, I know the Olympics aren't the most up and up sports, event every 4 years, but FIFA definitely takes the cake for me as being one of the most corrupt sports organizations in the world. And I honestly don't know why. And when I say I don't know why, I mean, I do know why, but I don't understand why cities would even want this, because they're spending a lot of money to get this set up for them. And sure, the stadium owners are going to make money and all that stuff, and this will come to this, but it just seems like it's going to be, I don't know. The logistics this year for the World Cup seem very complicated to me. And I know they're going to figure it out. But at the same time, it's just a little more complicated. Mime Jr. says, the Olympics at least aren't blatant about their corruption. That is true. Maybe hide corruption and we don't know about it, and then we can't talk about it on the radio. But that is what I saw from FIFA, and that is what I wanted to bring to all of you. Let's see. What did I miss? Did I miss any news today? The Ryan O'Hearn signing with the Pirates. I mean, it's definitely not a bad deal for him. But it makes me think that the Pirates are actually kind of trying, because I've also seen that they're in on Eugenio Suarez MLB Network was talking about the Pirates and a possible lineup with Eugenio Suarez in there. I would have liked to see Ryan O'Hearn back in a Padre uniform, but I actually don't, because this news came out over the break. I don't actually remember what he got, so let me look it up real quick. He got 2 years, $29 million. So honestly, that doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like an unfair contract. 14.5 per year. He gets bonuses for plate appearances. Yeah, I mean, $14.5 million. I guess the Padres didn't want to invest that into him, but maybe he would have come back for a different price. But I think with Ryan O'Hearn, at least the Pirates are showing me that they're at least trying. They're at least trying. Trevor says, rant 1 complete. Thank you, Trevor. Rant 1 of the year complete. FIFA, I'm over it. I'm over FIFA. Anyway, back to Ryan O'Hearn. So he's no longer on the market, and it comes back full circle to the Padres basically need to find a first baseman and some starting pitching, and they are on their way. I think so, at least. All right, I'm just going to change gears and go to Lane Kiffin real quick. It's not even really about Lane Kiffin. It's about some of the players for Ole Miss. And the Ole Miss players are really enjoying doing this without him. And one of the players, Xavier Harris, defensive tackle, he said after the game that, quote, Lane, all he's been trying to do is steal our shine. It's like a slap and the backhand. He was trying to be a troll. We're going to troll him. We got something for him. Apparently, he explored appearing on ESPN for a segment during the Sugar Bowl and wanted to be inside the Superdome, but decided to attend LSU women's basketball game against Kentucky instead, which is a smart idea. I can't imagine Lane Kiffin showing up for a Sugar Bowl where his former team is playing, and they're playing without him, and now there's like not rumors, but there's speculation some of the Ole Miss coaches that are actually LSU coaches might not be able to coach anymore. So it's just a bunch of malarkey. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's a bunch of malarkey, and people need to stop giving Lane Kiffin. They need to stop giving him so much power. Sure, he could turn your football team around, but how does he treat people? Some of these players in Ole Miss say he doesn't treat people that well.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, Daily Gripe. First, note to self. Get back into the Skraby Show mix because I left myself short on stories and I will not let it happen again. But my Daily Gripe for today is, it's about my drive up and down from Reading. So I studied the traffic patterns. And when you're going up the 5 in the middle of the state, near Bakersfield, Fresno, those places, there's only 2 lanes, right? You have the semi lane and then you have the passing lane. Here's where my gripe is. And I actually was enjoying my drive. I was just going a regular speed. But here's the, get around the truck when I need to. But here's the gripe. The people that, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without swearing. They race up to the back of a truck and then they try to jam themselves in so they can get around the truck. So say the semi is to my right. I have just a tiny bit of room between the back of the semi and the start of my car in the other lane. And this person makes me slam on my brakes so that they can get in, and then I slam on my brakes, the person behind me slam on my brakes, brakes. That is how accidents happen. And I actually saw a pretty big pile up on the way home, I'm sure it was something like this. My daily gripe is all of the people that really mess with our lives when they're on the roads, because there's no reason. Like, I saw one person who was trying to cut in before a semi, but they had plenty of opportunity to get over and like go around the truck and not have to cut anyone off, not have to slam on the brakes. But no, they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be 2 cars behind. They wanted to just jam themselves into the front of the car, or to the first car. And they wanted to cause an accident. Luckily, I didn't get into an accident. But man, driving really, it doesn't stress me out so much. It's just like, I just hate seeing the idiots. Joseph says they think they are the main character. Cole says, that was me, Scrabes. I had to use the bathroom. All right, well, in that case, Cole, you're free. All right, first Skraby Show of the year. Thank you to everybody for joining. We'll be back tomorrow. We got another Skraby Show tomorrow. We got a Fantabulous Sports Game Show tomorrow. We have a lot tomorrow. Glad to be back. Thanks to everybody for being here with me. Have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow.
The Padres